Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and in this video, I want to talk about Ruan. You guys know that I always do a is she worth it kind of poll, but I decided to phrase it a bit differently this time. Most of us already know Ruan is a very good character, but I think the question really lies unanswered is she a must pull, maybe considering that other characters on the horizon are like Black Swan, Sparkle, Acheron, all these future characters that are very, very attractive in terms of meta, design, whatever not that you may. I want to talk about that as well. Now, I'll give you a TLDR. My honest opinion about Ruan is I don't think that she's a must pull, but she's pretty close to there, and I'll explain why. Let's first start off, of course, with the good things. And you guys know, if you realize on the channel, I haven't been posting videos this past weekend because my throat is absolutely destroyed. But I wanted to put this video out as soon as I can, because if not, it's going to be like irrelevant sooner or later. So I'm actually just trying to push through. If you can hear the hoarseness in my voice, absolutely terrible. But first things first, why is this like such a great character? If any of you are sitting on the fence, maybe you're thinking about a skill point buffer in future that may be coming out. She is a generalist support that is top tier right now. She buffs damage bonuses. If you notice here in her support skill here, you buff a lot of damage increase. You increase the weakness break efficiency, which is the first of its kind. Here you have a 36 plus 28 here. This goes up to like 30. So you get a 68% damage buff from just using her skill. That is ridiculous. And she has almost 100% uptime on this as well. So you have a perpetual 68% damage buff from your whole team. Benefits teams with a double hyper carry. For example, like as you can see here, I'm running my first 4 characters as Jingliu and Blade. So you just give both of them 68%. You don't even care whether Blade scales with HP. You don't even care whether Jingliu scales with attack. Damage bonuses buff both of them equally. And also if you have characters like Kafka who are DOT in nature, crit damage buffing is not very good for these kind of characters. And that is where I think that Ruan shines. She can be fit into like most team compositions available, making her super, super flexible. So if that wasn't enough, she also buffs speed for your team, which is excellent for a lot of characters who want to act more, because the more speed you have, the more damage you can do within a set number of turns in the Memory of Chaos. Super good as well, so very nice side bonus. 10% is not huge by any means, but it's still significant because 10% on average characters have 101. 10 speed is basically some of the higher tier substat rolls on your relics. And on top of that, she does good amounts of damage on break, so it's not as if she's just like a very strong buffer like Bronya on field. She also does a lot of damage on the side when you break enemies too with her supportive abilities that she does. So very, very good in my opinion. Her ultimate ability, and on top of that, you like stack her ultimate ability. She already has good damage. She has good buffing in terms of damage percentage, and then you stack this nonsense on top of that, which is a 25% rest pen at level 10. This rest pen is just so freaking good. I almost actually was considering pulling for E6 Rota because of just a 20% rest pen that he gets. But Ruan doesn't care about that. She has it right in her ultimate ability. 25 rest pen at E0 without even her signature light cone. Super amazing in my opinion. Because any character can benefit from rest pen. Doesn't matter whether you're a crit DPS, your support, or your DOT or whatever not. As long as you do damage, rest pen is super good. And it's not even like the elements same type, is all type rest pen. Insane amount. And of course, you delay the enemy weaknesses and whatnot, which is a new kind of style that the Hoyoverse is trying to introduce, trying to play more into weakness breaking and stuff. I think the only downside of weakness breaking and delaying the enemy's recovery is against like characters who rely on counter. For example, to a lesser extent Blade, but maybe more so for characters like Clara, who I do not have on my account unfortunately. But Clara is probably a character that may not like enemies going very, very slow and being delayed perpetually, because a lot of the damage does come from counter attacking. So that is like one of the caveats of one of the downsides. But other than that particular character, I think everyone, and even Clara also, would definitely benefit a lot from the rest pen and the damage increase, especially if you're not breaking their weaknesses, which just means you're not taking advantage of the full kit. So that is like the good things, and I'll share with you my personal bias. I like this character so much that the moment I pulled her, I tried her on the first day, I immediately went for her E1, and I went for her S1 as well. Now, I'll talk about that on a later bit, but I want to talk about first comparing her, because I think a lot of you are sitting on the fence looking at future characters, maybe like Sparkle, which is another Harmony character that's coming in mind. We don't have concrete information at time of recording, but I think we can talk about like some guess of what she has. Right now, my interpretation of Sparkle is she's maybe going to be fitting into a skill point buffer kind of category. We currently do not have that. in the Harmony characters right now. So a skill point buffer is quite plausible for Sparkle. And in that case, if she's a skill point buffer, I think that if you are Imbibitor Lune main, for example, you really like this character a lot, he will benefit a lot from a character like that, a skill point buffer in future. Whereas I think that if you are playing DOT teams or any other teams, you are more or less favoring a character like Ruan, who's very, very neutral in her overall kit. But one thing apart from that she also adds a lot of value on, if you realize so far, all her buffing is damage percentage, rest pen, and nothing to do with attack percentage, which means that she actually mixes very well with characters, for example, like Hanya, who buffs a lot of attack percentage, characters like Esther, who also buff a lot of attack percentage, and you can pair them very nicely together because you get speed and attack from your second Harmony, you get damage buffing, you get pen from Ruan as well, and you are buffing like a team-wide ability. So you could also grow like a hyper carry-ish kind of style if you wanted to, which I think is not a lot of people might be talking about that for this particular character. And of course, if the character buffs like crit damage and stuff, crit damage might not be very useful for characters like Kafka, so there is some important things to consider. Personally, if we will talk about a hypothetical character that buffs skill points for the entire team, and also like crit damage versus Ruan, a character that we know now, I would prefer Ruan in general for most situations because the game will tend more and more towards a double DPS meta. As Hoyoverse advances later in the game, it makes more sense to sell people two characters that work very well because they monetize double rather than selling you one single kind of hyper carry character and then trying to like stack supports, because there's only a limitation of how much you can sell if you sell hyper carry kind of characters. So that is like something that I personally am feeling, and especially if a character like Black Swan is coming up, Kafka, who knows, maybe Black Swan is very good with Kafka. In that sense, Ruan likely will add a lot more value to your account, and yeah, that is basically my thought process. In that case, why isn't she a must pull? If she's so good as what I say, why do I think that she's not as good and overpowered as a character like Fucc? I'm not going to talk about Fucc in depth in terms of overall kit. If you want to see my details of why I think this character is ridiculously overpowered, check out the video that we have on the channel a while back. But Ruan, I think, has her deficits, and one thing for sure is she's not very easy to build. You do need her at a very, very specific requirement. For example, first things first, you need 180 break effect to fully maximize her benefits. And for a new player getting in the game, it will feel very daunting to get that kind of stack gear. If you're a new player, you'll be like, EOD, it's so difficult to get 180% break effect on the right set. I don't even have time to farm for my character's levels and stuff. So it does take time to get into investments. And building her is definitely trickier to build than most. And most of her best, to make her function like the most proper, you do need either past self in the mirror, which in case any of you are wondering how do I actually manage a 3-turn rotation, is I actually use Luota usually when I run her is with this Shed Feeling S5. I think I swapped to a 5-star because I was in harder content, I needed the HP. But this 4 energy actually just helps me complete my 3-turn rotation when I run them together in these 4 teams. But other than that, a lot of us will probably need like a S5 Memories of the Past if we are not planning to run Mashing Cogs, which is quite expensive for a free-to-play player or a low spender, in my opinion at least. So free-to-play Ruan is still possible, but squishier, maybe a bit trickier to run. You don't get a lot of the optionality because her bulk of her amazing kit actually comes from her E1 and S1, which is why I think that this character requires a bit more investment in terms of spending, investment in terms of gear as well. This light cone together with E1 is ridiculous, and let me talk about that very, very quickly. I know not every one of us wants to spend on E1 and S1, but here you increase damage by 24%. This light cone itself is basically another Harmony character. 60% break effect helps you contribute to your thresholds much better. 24% damage buff over here is extending that 68. So I have something like a 92%, almost double the damage bonus that I get without her on the team. And on top of that, I get like some energy back and skill point refund as well, making her even more skill point positive character. I am always topped out in this team with skill points. And I can even see her in a case where playing with Imbibitor Lune, especially if I'm playing with like Hanya on the same team, probably will be enough to battery a character like Imbibitor Lune. But her E1, this is amazing. When you have your ultimate field deployed, this is the 2-turn uptime. Damage dealt by all allies ignores 20% of target defense. And for any of you who use Zealer a lot, and you use this quantum set, you know 20% is massive because of the amount of shred it does combined together with the fact that she has rest pen and damage buffing of that 92%, you really make her become not only as like a Silver Wolf kind of character, rest pen E6 Luota kind of character, but also an insane harmony damage buffer that's so generalistic and fit into almost any single team and find value there. I really find it hard to not recommend this character only for the fact that it's very expensive to really see her pop off completely, and I think a E1S1 is my thoughts of what a more or less efficient Runmei will be. If any of you are planning to repull on her for a rerun in future, I think E1S1 is an ideal stopping point. And yeah, that's my honest thoughts on this character. I hope that this video helps some of you out as well. I'm not going to rest my throat because it's really, really bad. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next video.